for what they like in DC use versus. Last time, you didn't miss much. I'll just say outright. Ichi, now let's get back to it. Once Ichi made his way to the Occult Research Club, he found Rias was in the middle of talking to Aji about some upcoming news. They stopped mid-sentence, so Rias turned to Ichi and spoke. Ichi, you made it just in time. Today is a very special day for both you and Aji. I'm so excited. Ichi looked confused. He walked over to the group wondering what was going on. All of a sudden, a flyer was given to Ichi informing him of the upcoming events that Reese was seemingly pumped for. Reese announced that it was time for them both to get their first familiar. After the announcement, Shio entered the room to hear the news. Ichi was still lost on this whole familiar mumbo jumbo. Seeing the confusion on his face, Reese had the rest of the team display their familiars as an example for what Ichi would be getting himself into. Akana then summoned an imp. Kanko summoned the cat, and she held within her arms. And she summoned what looked to be a blonde first year with pink eyes. Hold the phone. Why does she get smoking hot chick for a familiar? And can I get one as well? Ichi questioned while looking at the girls with jealous tears in his eyes. While Rias was explaining what familiars meant to the devils, some key information that would hit Ichi's ears, such as them being able to protect their masters at any time. Ichi looked over to Shio and his familiar realized something from what Rias was saying. This girl was Shio's familiar and could help him with other problems that didn't necessarily involve fighting. She could probably be his personal mate too. Life is so unfair. Once Rias finished her sentence, there was a knock at the door. Not too soon after came Sona along with the rest of the student council. Shio's face turned to see Sona. He smiled at the woman as he began to pet his so-called familiar. Oh, hi, St. Prez. What brings you to the neck of the woods? I'm sure it's not Reese's taste in interior decorating, is it? Shio said with a chuckle as someone wanted to congratulate Reese for getting more members. Sanji started to make introductions to Ichi and Shio. He also began to push their buttons by going after Algia. As soon as Ichi saw this, he gripped both of them. He gripped both of Sanji's hands tightly. He felt Sanji and Ichi started hurling insults back and forth until Sanji suddenly stopped. He felt a cold chill crawl up his spine. He slowly turned around to see Shio with his shallow, cold face getting closer and closer to him. Sanji gulped it. He was terrified and quickly hid behind Sona. Rias and Sona looked at each other inside after that embarrassing moment was done with. After that embarrassing moment was over with, Sona decided to bring up the topic of familiar summoning. Realizing that they both planned to go get their familiars at the same day. I see, well, we're in a bit of a predicament, Sona said. Rias nodded. Indeed, we'll have to fix that, then Reese replied. As a way to decide who would get their familiar first, Reese and Sona agreed to play a little game. It would be a friendly competition, but there was a rivalry between them. Things will be intense till the end. Once student council left the room, Shio turned to the girl he called his familiar. Mayuri, could you do me a favor? Keep an eye on Asia before and after school for me. When I'm not there, no need to override her actions, so just be vigilant. Do you think you can do that? He asked, kneeling down to the girl's level. Mayuri nodded and gave him a thumbs up. Everyone made their way to the Everyone made their way to the tennis court the next day. Anko and Rias would be up against Sona and Tsubaki. While this was going on, there seemed to be an unusual amount of people in the attendance, with Issei practically glued to the fence. Chio, Kaneko, and Kiba simply stood together watching as well. So, how much you want to bet? Three-fourths of the people here aren't just here for the student council president and the occult research club press compete against each other in a friendly game of tennis. I'm betting 20, Shio said with a hint of disdain in his voice. I'll put 20 on that as well. Kiba looked over to Shido after it began digging in his pocket. Their attention was drawn back to the competitors when the ball was thrown. From the very beginning, it was aggressive as the game kept going back and forth. The crowd was just going crazy for Ryusai, Agano, and Tsubaki. The boys were nervously swaying at this intense game of tennis. They're using magic, aren't they? Issei questioned. Yep, Shio answered. We agreed to not use magic in the game though, right? Kiba mentioned. Yep, Shio replied. They sighed in disappointment. Even their leaders weren't perfect. Each girl promised not to use magic, but it seemed they had the memory of a goldfish. It didn't matter in the long run though. The game eventually came to the end. And with the draw as a result, all the boys faced one at this disappointing result. They needed a tiebreaker. This is what Azuya, Kiba, Koneko, Shido, and he's ended up talking about for the next while. Ryusanaka finally returned to the room with the solution of the tiebreaker. Ryus ended up announcing that tomorrow night they'd be playing a game of dodgeball. In order to decide it all, Shio spoke up and decided to ask about a certain pair in the game. Hey, Prez, mind if we have Kaguya and Yuzuru join? Ryus thought about it for a moment before agreeing to let the duo join. Once that was dealt with, everyone went on with the rest of the day and eventually went home. Issei had some trouble sleeping though. He decided he grabbed his phone to call Chio. He knew it was late, but he hoped the boy would answer. Hello? Hey man, it's Issei. You're up too? Nice. Listen, I know it's late. Well, but do you think you can help me with some last minute training? Issei, look, training isn't gonna do any good for either of. I thought it could be heard through the phone. She just sighed. The phone went silent for a moment. Sorry, but I have to deal with some petty squabbles at the moment. I can ask Karami to send a clone to train you if you want. Issei's face paled at the mention of Karami. He wanted to train, but did it really have to be with her? He had no other options, though, so he had no choice and agreed to have Karami come over. Less than a minute later, she appeared in Issei's room. Issei immediately freaked out. It was only for a short second, though. Karami signaled him for him to shut up, and he forced himself to swallow the fear around the girl. He quickly got ready in order for them to go to the school gym area. He trained for hours long and said that he meant spirit. It was Karami, or at least a clone anyway. He kept training until he couldn't train no more. He finally prepared for the upcoming game, as well as the pain that came alongside dodgeball after Karami kept hitting him aggressively with the ball. It didn't help that it didn't seem like she held the strength of her throws back at all. He refused to believe she was going light on him. She almost crippled him after all, and multiple times too. When school started, the first thing she saw when he entered the occult research club was the pass out Issei. He walked over and shook his friend until the brown-haired boy woke up. So how did the training go? Issei struggled to get up. He had a limp. Oh, it was nothing. Just a couple of bruises here and there, but nothing I can't walk up. All I know for sure is that I'm feeling pumped for today, especially when I get to wipe the smirk off that bastard's face. Shio just looked at his friend with a deadpan expression when he mentioned Saji. I'm just gonna mispronounce it, I don't care. He could also already tell that Issei was bluffing about the interaction with Kurumi. I think he got a couple of screws left, but to be fair, you agreed to train with a clone of psychotic yandere who has a body count that can make any infamous war jealous. I didn't expect for her to go easy on you or anything, but even now you're a blubbering mess, jeez, she bluntly said. Once it turned dark and the moonlight started to hit, it was time for the game to begin. As everyone began to do warm-ups and last-minute stretches, Issei's preferred tendencies began to take over. Shio noticed this and woke Issei out of his daydream, or at least tried to. Someone else already beat him to the punch, literally. Kanka, the rook of Rias' parents, sucker punched Issei in the gut, which caused him to cry out in pain. Pervert was all she said. She simply said before walking away. Once Issei fully recovered, the game had officially begun. The student council served first, but Konako was on the piers of Rias. She held no mercy while holding the dodgeballs. She wasn't the only one playing aggressively here. Kaguya and Yuzuru of Association with Shido were playing fiercely. They both were nearly identical in appearance, with a white-skinned, orange hair in 3 loops, with Yuzuru having a ponytail sticking down one of her braids. Yuzuru had a more curvy figure than Kaguya. Kaguya's eyes showed more of a lively expression than Yuzuru. More so, Kaguya looked relatively excited with a happy expression on her face. As she left, a barrage of dodgeballs back and forth, each member reading its power into it. This game of dodgeball was intense. It even cost everyone's clothing to tear. As the competition progressed, the girls especially took more of the offense here. The forms they took to hit the ball made Issei easily distracted, and as the balls was about to hit them out of the game, Shio managed to bail him out by blocking it. Rather than Issei being taken out of the game, Shio made sure the ball would hit someone else and take them out. And Shio was busy trying to snap Issei out of whatever trance he was in. All Issei saw was Kage and Yuzuru's movements beginning to get crazier. He went to calm him down. A loud echoes sound. He went to calm him down. A loud sound echoed all throughout the gym. Everyone stopped what they were doing at that moment as the ball hit Issei in the place where the sun didn't shine. It went completely silent. Issei barely made a chirp as he collapsed to the ground, clutching his area in pain. Issei Hiro was down for the count. Shio winced seeing what had happened to his friend. He could only imagine the pain that Issei was going through right now. There was a small break granted to Rias' team, so that Shio could walk over and drag Issei to the side of the gym. He turned to look over to the girls with death stare. Kaguya, Yuzuru, was that either of your doing? Shio asked the two girls near them admitted to the cruel act. Saji was on the other side, though, shocked at what he saw. Kaguya and Yuzuru in his class, they didn't seem to be all that different from the average female teenagers before now. This was supposed to be a fun game of dodgeball, to see who'd get their familiars first. But these girls were monsters. Just when did they become so good at sports? Once Shio entered back in the field, he slowly walked, so Saji felt that cold feeling in the room again. He needed to get out there. He needed to get out of there immediately. As he started to run towards the exit, Shio threw the ball with zero strength behind it. He specifically aimed at Saji, and it slanted to his back. This force to span the ball was enough to fling him out of the building. He screamed the whole time. Reyes looked on impressed. She said no less when she was absolute most. These girls, Kage and User, were throwing dodgeballs like their lives depending on it, chucking these spears like they were cannons. It really made Reyes wonder what did Chio promise to the two of them in order for them to get out putting this amount of ferocity. Bones were getting broken, holes were being formed in the walls, for goodness sake. Not even Summer and not even herself and Summer were laying at each other this so aggressively. She made her way over to Shio at one point in the game when he calmed down and decided to ask him a little question. Hey Shio, nice work you're doing out there, you and the girls. But if you don't mind me asking, though, what exactly did you promise them? Money potion? Shio shook his head in response. None of that. In all honesty, I just told them whoever got the higher number of people out on the opposing team would get the date with me tomorrow night. You truly are a ladies' man, Shio. It's a good thing that all you promised them. That's all you promised them, and now they were practically going to war for you. After that, he went back to the group. After that, he went back to the group in order to check. After that, he went to the back of the group in order to check on Issei's condition. The competition between the two beards just continued to have the number of people on side windows. She began to sweat as it slowly went down to only one other person on her side. One strike from Kage and her queen was out of the game. Just her now. She couldn't compete against the Yamai twins yet. She couldn't compete against the Yamai twins, so only a couple of seconds were left on the clock, but right then, a strike to the gut from User took her out of the game. Game over. Cold Research Club wins. They woke up to hear the people cheering. He saw Shio go towards them and asked, So how did New Year's go? I will never be able to pronounce that word. Did the family jewels finally drop? Shio simply chuckled. Issei was treated for his injury by Asia, and although he physically felt better, his pride as a man was eternally bruised. He slowly walked over to the group to celebrate with them right after. Shio made his way over to Kage and User. He wasn't happy. Let this be a lesson to you. Let this be a lesson to you too. The dodgeball isn't your angel. Look, you can't just put the same amount of force into it as you can with your angels, else someone will get seriously hurt. Shio lectured. Aye, Captain. Kage's understood User replied. The club continued to celebrate until it's time to leave the premises. As soon as Reyes opened the portal, everyone was sent to a middle of a forest. As Issei and Asia were surprised with the forest, a person appeared out of the trees. He answered, Who wants me? As they all looked into the trees to see the person. The man introduces himself. I'm the master of the familiar, aka the Toji. She stepped forward with a smile and said, Hey Ash Ketchum, it's been a while. Are you still trying to catch them all? After Toji laughs and gets no reply. You're the same as last time, Shio, my guy. Oops, I see more than the usual, a girl and a guy. If your goal is to find familiar's goal, you come to the right place, that's for sure. And Shio explained to Issei that Ketchum likes to rhyme everything. He says soon He said soon began their search for their familiars. Ethan nodded understanding for a little bit until he realized something. How did Shio know that? He was again replaying the conversation between the two of them, and an epiphany hit him. This wasn't the first time here. He was sure he was here. This wasn't the first time he was here, and if that was the case, did that mean you had more than one familiar? That bastard, he walked up to Shio and tried to confront the boy about it. Oh, you're approaching me about something? Well, come as close as you like, Shio said in a mocking tone. Yeah, what's up with you stealing all the familiars? I thought you were only supposed to get one. First off, as Akano can confirm, one is the limit. Akano has 6 familiars. Yeah, it's pretty much a collection of familiars I have at this point, Akano added. You gotta be kidding me. Why is this world so unfair? You guys take up all the good ones before I get a chance. You complained. I only gone here once actually. My hobby is just My is just a result of me respecting feelings with reality warping. I also have one that's called Zishi that's like a dog. That's mainly plays with Rio. My actual one I got from the forest is a griffin that lives in our backyard with our 20-foot high fences. Ozzy can confirm the Shio said, attempting to defend himself. Yeah, when I first met the griffin, I was intimidated at first, considering its large stature, but they're so soft and cuddly. Ozzy stated, so you're telling me that there are griffins here? Wait, that means there are mythological creatures like dragons, chimera? I mean, dragons and chimeras. I mean, having a dragon in your arm is one thing, but flying on a literal dragon is a whole different experience. Yet there's also Hydra's Pegasus, sprites, you name it, they probably have it. Akano responded with a chuckle. His excitement to encounter one of these creatures was now out of this world. The group made its way towards the lake, explaining the sprites could be found at the bottom of the lake. Each was more than excited to go for it as one slowly appeared, and it was more masculine than expected. As Shio nudged going, I can definitely see you two getting along. He'll take it. He always wanted a woman to break him, Shio said excitedly as Ite was ready to choke him. As they went further and further into the forest, something with pecks the size of Ite's head followed them. The Toji stopped them and told everyone to look up as they saw a dragon. As they saw in the trees a little blue dragon, just as Akano was suggesting, grab the dragon as his familiar. Shido shouted, "Do the thing," he'd say, agreed and went. Dragon, I choose you. Just before he got to finish, Dragon, I choose you. Just before he got to finish, he turned to see everyone's getting covered in green slime. As the slime started to dissolve the woman's clothes, Ichi tried to burn the image into his mind, but Kaneko grabbed his shirt and pulled it over his face. Dream on, you pervert. As the Toji explained the weird slimes are Ichi's familiar. Ichi's eyes still lit up. Yashio looked at him, going, No, don't you even think about it, Ichi. In fact, I won't give you a chance. Ain't soft, he yelled, Now die, you perverted slimes. Shio shouted as all the slimes just died, dissolved into nothingness. After all that happened, and the girls got new clothes, on Ichi's way laying down in defeat. Shio made his way Shido made his way over to Itsei, saying, "Cheer up, man. Itsei's probably can still say yes." "Oh gee, thanks." His disappointment was immeasurable up until he realized something. In his pants pocket, there sat a little slime that managed to survive after Shido's seemingly almighty attack. Issei was overjoyed. He yelled, I want this one, make it my familiar." Shido Issei cut it with his sword. "You're stuck with the giant sprite," Shido said as it led to the argument between the two. While it went on, they noticed the blue dragon starting to land on Ozzy's shoulder. Realizing it chose her as its master, as soon as the argument was done, they completed the pack. They completed the pack of the dragon and went back to the lake to see the sprite, and soon the pack was made. And so was a broken man. After the packs were formed, they had to name their familiars. Ozzy named the baby dragon Rashido, with honest reference to the blue-haired knight in shining armor. Issei whimpered well again the sprite before deciding the name that perfectly described her. Gretchen was her name. Well, that's all for now. Hope you had a nice day. Well, we'll see you guys next time. Peace. Oh yeah, Titans just scored up.